Hi, I'm Ula. I'm agender, non-binary, lesbian, cat mom, anarchist Christian, recently disabled, activist based in Warsaw, Poland.
Hello, my name is Oliver and I'm a trans guy who makes videos about LGBTQIA+ people where they get to talk about anything that they want that somehow relates to them being queer. In April, I spent a weekend in Warsaw, Poland with my fellow board members of the European Forum of LGBTI+ Christian groups, and I found some time to sit down with my friend Ula and record what was on their hearts.
Hi, I'm Ula, they them. I'm 24. I live in Warsaw, Poland. And I've been born and raised here. And I am of multiple identities. I'm at the crossroad of being queer and Christian and anarchist. And recently I've been dipping into the disability spaces also.
Ula is going to dip into all of these areas today, starting with their gender identity.
Gender-wise, I guess I identify as non-binary / agender, which means I don't really care about gender. So it's not that important for me to identify as a gender, but at the same time I don't want to be perceived as a woman. I've been assigned female at birth, and I also identified as a woman for a long time in my childhood and teenage years. But now it just rubs the wrong way if somebody calls me a woman, even though that in Polish and in languages when being gender neutral is not that easy, I still use the female pronouns and the female grammatic forms. Even though, I just want to say, neutral forms exist in Polish, as in non-binary people are inventing them and are creating rules for them and are creating the ways to speak neutrally about people, stuff and things.
This is how they realize that they are non-binary / agender.
Really, for me, it happened when I started to dip into the queer anarchist circles, having friends and hanging out with people for whom the default mode was being non-binary and probably trans-leaning, non-binary, pansexual and polyamorous, and that was the norm. I just vibed with them, we just clicked, and I found my experience in their experience and what I see of the world in what they see of the world, in what they say about the world and their experience. So I said, well, if I'm so similar with people who I identify as this and this and this, maybe I shall start identifying myself as this and this and this.
That didn't change how they identified sexuality-wise.
I'm still a lesbian. And it's a weird term when I live in a world and in circles and societies when, gender is not that important. So, my being a lesbian is not about, I'm only dating and or having sex with cis women. No, none about that. It's mostly about who I experience attraction to, who I want to do things with. And it tends to be femme people. Of all kinds, cis, non-binary, trans.
And this sometimes makes Ula feel outside of the norm.
When you're non-heteronormative in a heteronormative society, even if you do not feel like there is something wrong with you because of your non-heteronormativity, you still are and feel the odd one out. Someone that has something different about them, even though it's not bad, it's just different. And sometimes I feel the same way about not being totally pansexual, panromantic. So it's not a bad thing, it's just something that differentiates me in a way from other people I spend time with and I do stuff with, all kind of stuff. One example of such situation when I feel like the odd one out is, I'm not deep in a scene, but I sometimes go to, let's say, sex parties or get-togethers and parties that may or may not, usually they do, end up in an orgy. It's a different setting, and I'm not totally opposed to having intimacy or sexual intercourse or whatever activity with non-femme people, because it's all different way. I'm also non-monogamous, and I'm really into the relationship anarchy mindset and all that stuff. So, you know, I know what my boundaries and desires, etc. are. But yeah, it's sometimes weird because at the kind of parties I go to, there is this expectations of, you know, everybody with everybody, and it sometimes feels weird to have a desire. Okay, I want to do these things with these people, but not with these people because of reasons, not only gender, but more often like their expression, gender expression, but because of a lot of reasons.
But something that Ula finds a lot more interesting about themselves is the fact that they are an anarchist.
Anarchism is a political philosophy and also a political practice of organizing without hierarchy. So let's say when we're organizing something or starting an organization, there is not one leader and a board that, you know, delegates everything. We do everything together, and most of the time the decisions are made by consensus. So we discuss until everybody agrees. And let me tell you, it takes a long time and it's tiring, and at the end of a lot of collective meetings, everybody hates each other. Because we just spent 3 or 4 hours discussing a really simple task, and we just know that there is 5 more such small decisions ahead of us. But you know, sometimes it's beautiful when somebody has an idea and everybody instantly agrees, because we just vibe with it. But yeah, the thing about anarchist organizing is that it's not only about the result, but also about the process. Yeah, the result is not as important as how we get there, and who we work with and who we do not work with. In society, we don't really have a lot of frameworks for working collectively, for consensus decision making, for discussing problems, for not being hierarchical.
More specifically, Ula hangs out in queer anarchist spaces.
We just are, and we organize, and we do mutual aid, and just, you know, hang out with each other and support each other in whatever we may need. From finding flats and buying binders, to cleaning each other's spaces, and emotional support, and cooking dinners for each other, for God's sake, yeah? Like whatever is needed. And this intersection of queerness and anarchism, it feels really natural to me, because, well, queerness is a subversion of the norm, is stepping outside of the heteronormative boxes, and such is anarchism, because, yeah, the world is hierarchical, and we are in a lot of hierarchical structures, from school, work, being under a government, living in a country, churches, etc. And even families. Families are often hierarchical, yeah? So the anarchism is a subversion of that. It's a place and a mindset in which everybody has a voice, and a voice that is like really heard and considered.
Ula is also dipping their toes in the disability community.
I'm not yet in disability communities, and especially in queer disability communities, because, well, I have not considered myself disabled, because I was not for most of my life. It's a recent development of a lot of factors. And some books I've read, because shout out to Via Lakshmi, Piepsna, Samara Sinha. They are a North American queer disabled author of color, and their writing literally changed my mind, changed how I view, mostly how I view myself, but also how I view organizing and anarchist organizing and grassroots organizing, and how to adapt our movements to the needs of people with disabilities and not, but people who are sick and chronically ill and mentally unwell, and how to adapt our movements, how to adapt what we do to the needs of people who do it, so that we can really take care of each other, and we can really be considerate of each other's needs and wants and desires. So yeah, that's really something I'm dreaming of, you know, the collectives of care, the movements that are accessible to a lot of people, not only in terms of not being up a flight of stairs, but also by being digitally accessible for people who cannot leave their homes and for people who do not have a lot of energy for screen time, which are clashing needs, really. But there are ways to organize, and there are ways to take care of everybody and really leave nobody behind.
And now we're going to end the video with Ula beautifully tying this all together with a reflection of the church.
And then it comes back to my teenage dream of a church that's inclusive of everyone, that's we're all united in Christ and nobody is the out group, everything are the in group. But not in the hippie, oh, let's hold hands and sing together way, in the deep eschatological way of when Christ comes, the world ends, everybody are united. In like the deep sense that there is no one left outside and nobody is the other. Which is not achievable in this life. Yeah, this is a dream that's not achievable in this life. And I mean this world, not only my life. But that's something I dream of, and something, that on some small scale I can try doing with anarchists, with queers, hopefully in disability spaces. And what I'm trying to do in church, with Christianity and with Christian mindset, that's also somehow important to me.
If you enjoyed watching that video, please like, comment, subscribe and share the video. I really appreciate you showing your love in that way. If you also want to support the channel financially, that's possible via Patreon, but really no pressure. See you next time!